Good morning. We are indoors and are doing something I'm not 100% sure of again. But to recap, this trailer was a weekend warrior. It was not designed by any means to be without a plug, without being plugged in. So what I've done so far, this whole area here used to be the old refrigerator, and it was actually quite expensive. It runs off propane or DC. But the problem with it is that it ran all the time. The thing was a monster. It was huge. So I bought this little one, which is AC, just a residential unit. It runs or draws probably 20% of what the big one did. And then I, of course, put the cupboards around it. So that actually came out pretty good. On the batteries, I upgraded the batteries and put Victron in there. But the problem that I'm having now is the furnace. And if you look online, they usually top out at around what mine is drawing, 12.5 amps when the fan is blowing. So not only is it burning propane, it's also consuming a lot of battery. So the solution, I think, is this thing, this fireplace. And, of course, my heater is still going to be working. I can get up in the morning and heat the place up, maybe light a log. Anything to reduce the amount of time that fan and that propane is burning is a good thing. And of course, the firewood around here is free, and there is a lot of it. Okay, so that's why this is here. That's where the trouble begins. I need to mount this in here. So there's a lot of things to consider. First of all, I bought a lot of the pieces. That's one of the first ones that came. And the odds of them all tying together are slim and none. So it's going to be a long project. What else? So far I've got, a floor protector coming. I think it's 32 by 48. So it would come to about here and maybe go to the wall and be about the width that you see there. I think that might be okay, but I might need to add more as we go. Things to consider putting this in. Of course, this is a slide out here, so that moves to about there when it's closed. So somewhere around here. So I was thinking, I could put this right in the center and have it pointing this way, I was going with that idea for a long time. But I, for some reason, didn't like it, mainly because of the exhaust. On the ceiling right there in the middle is the rear air conditioning unit. It's probably, it's just basically right there in the center. So if I put it in the center here, I'd have to 45 twice and maybe go up somewhere over here where I could get through the roof. I'm not thinking of moving the air conditioner up there. So that's when I started thinking, well, put it here and put it on an angle, or, not pointing straight out. The wood goes in and out here. The stationed wood will be over here. So kind of the mess might stay in this area. As far as clearances, I've seen a lot of videos where people put these in their motorhomes, and typically they're about as far away from the walls as this is placed right now. And they'll use some kind of metal. You stand it off the wall here, so it's about maybe an inch off the wall, and there's a little gap on the bottom, And the idea is that airflow will keep it cool. I'm hoping that's going to happen. So a piece of metal across that wall and across this wall, probably to about the middle of that window. But there are some things in the way. I like this little thing. It's really handy for plugging stuff in and charging right there. But I think that has to go. And if I get rid of that one, should I get rid of this one? It's to be determined. But it's probably kind of close to where I think I want it. They say they want, what was it? 18 inches off the sides, and it's less off the back. It's not as hot in the back. But I think, like I said, with the steel there, those walls will not get too hot. This thing, however, can get warm, if you can believe that. And my other thought is that I'd like it to just go straight through. If everything's straight, you know, gravity is in your favor. You're not pushing on fittings and things, even though they're very common. But if it could go straight, that would be best. So I could like put it here, and I could 45 and then maybe punch through somewhere, you know, here or whatever. The ceiling plate that I bought is actually 14 inches long. It's triple insulated to keep your roof from catching on fire. So what I'm thinking is keep it somewhere where it is and just go straight up, which means this and this is in the way. So that's why I'm having a really hard time getting started with this project. And all the trim work that's going to be done afterwards. But right now I've noticed that these are, you know, it's got a piece of wood and there's screws in here. And I think that could come loose fairly easily. But what's holding the middle? I mean, if these screws on the side are supporting all that weight, this could be a real nightmare. And also trying to make the cuts, I would probably go up, you know, right on the other side of this piece of wood here, which just barely clears that light. So cut through there, leave this wood, make this cut, go straight to the wall, remove all that, and then I have a really good spot to put that 14 by 14 ceiling adapter. The chimney connects to it. Also, this thing is probably going to have to come off as well, and that's really unfortunate. It's only so far away. My neighbor was up here. He's got one in his little house, and he said sometimes these things actually glow red. So remain to be seen, this whole thing, and probably also this guy, are possibly going to have to leave the area. And maybe I might even have to, you know, protect this with another piece of metal going up to the ceiling. There's this piece here too that might get too hot. All these things this is like a big, so far I haven't destroyed my trailer. I mean, I think its value is going up because of what it can do now, but this is just completely going to change everything. So that's where I'm leaning. So I think I'm going to try to see how that comes out of there and take the doors off that, and hopefully this thing is supported well back there, connected this way to help support, you know, the shelf and everything. It's going to be ugly, and I'm not good at finish work, but I'm committed. It's essentially impossible to run the fan and propane heater unless you want to run the generator all the time. Speaking of the generator, I had a big find last night actually. The Victron it's a 50 amp AC input maximum that it can draw. And the whole time I've had it, it's probably a setting that I actually fiddled with, but I thought I had it on default to start with. But I finally noticed yesterday that it was also set at 50 amps on the battery charging. And that's basically what I was getting. When I had the generator and solar panels or whatever, the maximum amount that went to the batteries was 50 amps. And sure enough, there's a little box, and it can be 120 amps. So that was a huge find. That's 70 more amps I can pull off the generator and charge up the batteries, which means the batteries are going to charge up much faster. Just fantastic news. With the fireplace burning, unlike today when the sun's out, there's no need for a generator. So, having said all that, I'm going to start depreciating my trailer. So, I'm going to collect all my tools and I'll start you back up in a minute. Anyway, I'm going to put you on fast forward. That way I can listen to music while I'm doing this. So, fast forward. All right, I'm going to continue butching this thing out of here just so I don't have to think about it this afternoon. Fast forward. Okay, it is not pretty. So we got definitely some trim work to do. Probably gonna need to reuse some of these pieces I took off to cover that and that. That's gonna be interesting. But I think I have room for the chimney. Should come, might even be centered on this window. It's like it's a very important decision. If I center it on the window, it could get too hot on this wall. But anyway, I'm gonna relate to this for a while, but I think it's probably going to be off this wall more, closer to this wall, because it's cooler in the back of the fireplace. And I'm probably going to have to take this guy down too. Major sacrifice for heat, but heat is a big deal. All right, see you tomorrow. Now you can fast forward through cleanup. Okay, end of progress.